Hello folks, Bread of Life here, back for another video tutorial. Today I'm going to be talking about building basements and dungeons underground and some building techniques that you can do underground. I do have a warning though, I don't know if this will ever get fixed. This glitch where you can get yourself underground. Before, we used to use this technique to retrieve vehicles and other things lost underground. However, I think they have patched at least part of the issue where vehicles would glitch underground, because now when I phase underground, I can only do it in certain spots. I can't just do it anywhere now. If you try to turn on fly mode when you're phasing underground, it doesn't seem to quite work if you're at the bottom layer of the world already. So in this tutorial, I'll be showing you places where you can definitely build underground and some of the techniques I use to hide various things underground, build little dungeons or caverns or tunnels or basically anything you want underground. So let's get right to it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is find yourself a nice flat plateau like this. I like the Lost Isles because it has a great varying degree of these platforms and different tiers of levels. This won't work on areas that are, let's say, over here, because if you try to do it here and phase into the ground, you're just going to go basically down right into the bottom layer of the world right away, because there's nothing underneath it. However, these flat platforms, which are all over the different biomes and usually in different layers, will be able to work, because underneath it is either another layer of rock or ground or ocean or lake or water. So these can work in lakes, these can work in the desert, these can work in frostlands. I haven't tried this in the storm area yet, but I'm assuming that if there's platforms there, then you should be able to do them there as well. So the technique that people have been using for a while is using the cannon trick to get underground, and all I had to do is just put your swivel up here like this at the very top, and then put your cannon like this. Now you want your cannon to be just slightly above your head so that you can shoot yourself into the ground. Now, I'm not going to do the swivel technique to get underground, I'm just going to shoot myself straight into the ground. So all you have to do is get in the cannon and pummel yourself into the ground. And in this case, we have a water underneath us instead of ground, so that's perfectly okay. And you can see the grass above my head and kind of where the boundaries are of this rock that I was on, so I can just swim over here. I do have flight mode turned on at the moment, but you can see kind of where the boundary is, where the grass stops. That's basically where your boundary is for the underground. And I could build a set of steps here. Now to get out, all you have to do is, in most places, just walk out or build a set of steps and just come back out through the ground, just like this. And then just jump out and you're back on the surface. So that's the easiest way to get out. Get back in the water again. Okay, so what you need to know is that when you're building underground, there's going to be different tiers or different levels underground. So this one is actually a little different than the other ones I've been working on. This one has this strange sort of angle to it, or elevation to it. So you can see the very top is right here where the grass is sticking out, and as you can see, I can just put a wall here right underground like this, and you can see it just barely sticking out of the top of the ground here. Alright, so keep that in mind when you're choosing a location, that you pick a place that is roughly the same size as the full length wall, such as this, because you want to keep it, you probably want to keep it mostly hidden. You may want to have one stud above the ground in case you need to break it later. such as right there. You should still be able to break that if you had to, if for some reason they patched the game. But if not, you could go ahead. And if I go over here, this section is still underground. You can see when I go here, I don't see the edge of the rock yet. So this is another, you could build a little thing under here, build whatever you want into here. It'd be totally hidden from the rest of the world until you phase out of the rock, which is here, right? So we'll go back underneath here. Back in the water. And we'll choose this platform over here, I suppose. This one looks like it's almost a full wall. It's actually more than that. And we just phased out of the rock. So one thing to keep in mind is when you are building underground, it might be a good idea to put boundaries around where you plan to build so you don't accidentally jump out of the rock. So if you find a place like this, you could definitely build whatever you want under here. Just keep in mind you maybe in a future update, you may not be able to get underground. So I wouldn't put anything too valuable down here, like let's say anything storm related or lightsabers. But other than that, if you feel like building and you don't care if you lose it down the road, then this might be a good place to store your hidden treasures, especially if you're on the Lost Isles. And you can basically go underground as well. Now if you're not too far underground, see I'm on the edge of the rock here already, you can actually use this as a technique to build really low into the ground as well. So if for whatever reason you wanted to build a pillar that's super dug into the ground, you come underground and build the base plate right here like that, and then come out and then continue your build from there. Right? Because normally you wouldn't be able to crouch low enough to get into the ground. So you could do some really creative things with that. So what I'm going to do next is show you some possible places where you can build and also some of the caveats that might occur. Here's another Lost Isles one. This one's a lot larger than other ones that I've shown previously. It is multi-layered, but you would have to use multiple cannons to get to the various layers. The benefit of this one is that you could probably fit 2 or 3 levels within this one section. So if we go over underground here, you'll see this big open area that you could build in. So you could build a little house in here and no one would even know that was in here. And you could build stairs up, and there's a little crevice here too. You can make yourself a little way out here, like a little secret exit. And boom, I'm out. But my most favorite so far is the example I'm going to show you now, which is one I've actually started building in so far. And here we are in my work in progress pirate village, and I'm going to show you some more techniques for building underground as well. This is my favorite spot so far for building underground, and I'll just show you a few things. So we'll get in the cannon, shoot myself underground, and I've shot myself into this little underground river, which is kind of neat. Is that there's this little underground river here. It doesn't go very far, but I did block it off so I wouldn't fall out the other end. But yeah, so here we are underground right now. You can tell because you can see the grass is there. And if I wanted to get out of here, I built myself a set of steps here, which you can do as well. And I integrated it into the structure that's above ground. So all you have to do is just walk up the stairs, and jump, and you're out. So that's another way to get out, to make it look a little nicer. And I built this little bridge here that you can cross the river, which is all hidden underground. And there's one thing when you're building tunnels or dungeons underground or basement, I find it very handy to put these floor pieces on top, just above the ground. So that way when you're underground, you're not seeing any of the stuff above ground, so it feels like you're more isolated, like you're in an actual dungeon or a basement. See, if I come out here, see I put these wall pieces here, and that's kind of my mimic for a pathway underground or some sort of a dungeon crawl or secret tunnels between the buildings. And yeah, so you would never even know you're underground really, because it looks like you're basically on ground level until you get out the other side. And I'd build this archway here. You kind of see the above ground section to this building is right here where I'm pointing the little white dot on the screen, and you can see the grass sticking out. And I integrated the building right into the tunnel, so it's all seamless. And then I built this little access way there to get out as well if I wanted to. And there's my cannon to get in the ground. But yeah, as you can see, I did it in such a way that you could do this. Now, one recommendation I do have is when you are building underground, I'm just going to break this piece for a second so I can get out and then replace it. But as you can see the wall is sticking out by one stud right here. And that's so that if I have to break something later down the road, let's say they patch the game, or which I'm highly suspect that they will actually do because it's been so long since they've had this glitch in the game where vehicles and everything just sinks underground. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I prefer to have one stud above ground so I can break it later. And then what I did to hide the walls underground is simply just put floor pieces on top and made it into a path. So eventually I'm going to put maybe some fence pieces around this and hide it as a road between the different buildings, and you would never know that there's actually a tunnel underneath. Another warning I'll give you too as well is if you're building underground, be very aware of where you're putting your pieces, because then if you start building above ground and you try placing foundation pieces and floors and whatnot, you might run into an issue where you can't place the piece because it's already integrated with something underground. So for instance, if I were to try to build, I don't know, on one of these over top of one of these tunnels, I couldn't because there's already pieces underground here. And again, this lost tiles, here's another set of steps. You can see the grass above my head there. Jump out and I'm in another building. And again, you would never know that there's anything underground here. And you can continue these on for a very long time. If I go back into here again, I'll show you the unfinished part. See, so I'm on one level here underground, and this is why I like the Lost Isle ones better, because they're more varied terrain. So you could simply climb up and then you're on another layer here, which is basically just barely taller than the height of my character or my minifigure, whatever you want to call them. And then you could go around here and build more on this section if you want to as well, underground. And you can actually do work above ground too. Like I could take out my pickaxe and start working. If you're trying to place pieces below ground or lower than you can crouch, then you could do this as a technique to try to get those pieces in place as well. You can run by the roots of these trees. You can see how they're stuck in the ground, and there's the edge of the plateau in this layer. I'm not going to go out just yet. Go back down here, and what I'll do is I'll break out this section here, and this just takes me back out to the ocean. And I'm technically still see, you can see the edge of the rock there and the top of the plateau there. So you could build yourself I don't know, all kinds of crazy things underground that no one will know about. But I put these walls in place so that I don't accidentally fall out. And there you go. So that archway is totally above ground and this wall is totally below ground. You could also come up with some interesting above ground builds using this technique. For example, I put this foundation piece here basically on top of the ground, and then underground I put a pressure plate, and then I build a set of stairs upside down underground so that the bottom of the stairs was touching the ground. And then I came over here, attached another set of steps to it so that it was coming up above ground, and then I attach that to another set of steps. So it makes this interesting, what looks like almost like a roof piece. And then if I really wanted to get fancy, I could just take another pressure plate, place it on there like that, and then put some flooring pieces on it to make it look natural. So I could put I don't know, let's try some wood pieces. Sometimes this can be, there we go. So I can put some wood pieces on here to cover up the upside down nature of the steps. Just like that. And here's also a word of caution as well. Sometimes you'll find these areas that are kind of bugged out or glitched, and when you zap yourself underground, you'll find that you can't get out. Now, I'm not sure why that is. Certain spots on the map are kind of like this because maybe there's some overlapping textures or something, and you're just not able to jump out or do anything. You can try building chairs and beds and stuff on the outside to try to get out, but none of it seems to be working. For example, I can build a bed here, and the bed doesn't work. I can't sit in this chair. If I put the chair here, I still can't really access the chair for whatever reason. So in situations like that, unfortunately, I guess you could build another cannon to get out, but my recommendation is just go to the spawn menu, or go to the menu and then hit respawn, take you back. For example, if you're in the desert, this is another good spot. As you can see here, we have these platforms here. You got one on top, this one's not usable, but these really flat ones here you can use. So this is one layer right here in the desert, and then you have another layer here, which is this side piece or this rock, and then down below here is another layer. And I have marked off the boundaries of these just to get a rough estimate of where you're able to build underground. So again, we'll just jump into the cannon, fire myself into the ground, and you can see where roughly you'll be able to build. And obviously this spot here is hollow, so you could technically build in there as well because the boundary marker is right there. And as you can see, the boundary markers here is roughly here as well, and you can see a little bit of clipping going on. And in this example, I'm going to show you what happens when you shoot yourself into the ground and there's no platform or water below you to stop you from leaving the map. So we'll get in. You'll see you'll just go straight down and you have no control over what you can do. That's something that they've recently patched as well. Before you could enable fly mode to stop yourself from falling, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Here's another area in the Frostlands, which is a good example. As you can see, this one has multiple platforms on it. Looks like it has 3. I'm not sure about that bottom one. And it's not super huge, but it definitely will work. And I'll mark out the basics here. The boundary of each of these platforms or plateaus. And we'll go underground and take a look at what this one looks like. Okay, here we go. So as you can see, the top layer is there. And this is the second layer right here that we're standing under. Now this one, as you can see, I can't actually go out of this one, otherwise I'll just leave. But what I can do is drop down to this layer here, which I can still build in. And you see it very close to the edge here. That's okay. And then this one layer here, again, I can go around to this layer, build in here if I wanted to. I'd probably knock that rock out if I wanted to. And there, I left. So there you have it. There's another biome that you could definitely do some work in. And there's plenty of these platforms all over the place. You can actually build up in the mountains too, but I found that building up there is a little bit more tricky because the platforms are more rare, but also the fact that those ridges usually are only one layer thick. Sometimes they are two, but I wasn't able to get anything decent. But you can experiment in there and find out for sure. Here's another example on the Lost Isles. This is one of the floating islands, and this one's okay. It's not my preferred place, the Lost Isles, and you can see the edge is right here, so I don't want to leave that, but you should be able to go down into here and still be within it. Yeah, and now I'm just out. So the floating islands is probably not the best place to be. And there can be one little annoying thing. It's the fact that once you tilt up and down, you may not be able to see what you're doing anymore when building if you get too close to the surface. And some of these plateaus are actually only half height. And this is the kind of thing that'll happen. So if that happens, what I suggest you do as a temporary measure is to put down a floor piece, maybe a 12, just above your head somewhere where you intend to build on the surface of the ground. Just snap into place and screen, and then when you do that, you'll be able to basically change your viewpoint from what you're doing. Failing that, you could just go lower into the ground so that it doesn't. See, once you go low enough, you'll be able to basically have a full range of movement and not have that ground above your head. Or if you're really, really close, like I am here, you can use your white pointer to kind of guess and pickaxe that out. My head's popping out. Let's do that. Like you can basically do anything underground that you could do above ground, including destroying the rocks. Now, if you wanted to be completely below ground and have no trace whatsoever, you could technically build everything underground and not have any of the studs showing. Unfortunately, on this layer here, you would have to sink the pieces below this plateau here to get it underground completely so that nobody would see the tops of the wall. I don't think you could do it on this plateau, but you could definitely do it on some of these lower ones for sure here. You might even be able to put a full length wall in here. No, so you could do half walls anyways on this section here. So this is another edge of a rock here, you can see, and I put these little pillars here just to illustrate. And out you go. So there's plenty of these things in the Lost Isles and the other biomes, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, subscribe, like, all that jazz. Have yourself a good one, and we'll see you in the next video.